Do you struggle with metallic objects in your drawings? If yes, then this video is just for you. I know that metals are somewhat difficult texture to render for a lot of artists, from my own experience. All these reflections, ugh. Like geez, how should I paint it? In this video, I'd like to share the main concepts that helped me understand it better. Hope they will be useful for you too. So let's start with the basics. And that's theory time! To show this better, let's make a simple scene in 3D. Here's the made sphere and light sources. Metals in general have really clean reflections, so I need to make it more glossy. But it still doesn't look like a metallic ball. What should I do so it will look like it? Much better. In Blender it's quite simple, as you can see. You just change the sliders. But for us, artists, what has changed? Well, the object has more contrast now, and the reflex became much stronger. It is almost as bright as light itself. So here are two main things we should consider when drawing metallic surfaces. They are glossy and they have strong reflections and a lot of contrast. Pro tip: a little about other kinds of surfaces. If you are struggling with reflections and how they work, try to imagine if this object would be like a mirror. I always do this when I paint, and I've even started to notice that it works in different objects. Just let me show it real quick. Here a bunch of matte meshes. They don't look like a mirror, right? But look at these diffused reflections here and here, and look what would happen if I made these objects more shiny. And now we have a mirror-like reflections. You can do the opposite and see that all the highlights have simply become more diffuse. So you can use these to understand reflections easily and paint better. When you understand the logical part, rendering is much easier, so now you know all you need to do is make lights, make reflections of these lights. That's it! And now I would like to share some more additional tips and talk a little about differentiation of metals. You can easily turn this texture into gold, silver, bronze, chroma and other types of metals just by adjusting the color. Use the overlay mode, for example. Also, metal surfaces can reflect light differently. They also can be more matte if they are old enough. So by making a metal object more matte, you can add story to it. It can be also matte only in some parts due to abrasion, but the real problem starts when you try to draw not a metallic ball, but a sword, accessories, armor or other more complex objects. And that's why I told you about reflections earlier. When you know the key concept, it is much easier to apply to other shapes. Let's analyze this, for example. It would be easier if we simplified this picture. Here's a sphere, here's a really stretched and deformed cylinder. If we look at the reflections, we can easily see the environment it is in, because of the strong reflections. At times I like to be a little detective and trying to understand what is going on around the object. Oh, here's the photographer! Hi! Now let's make it slow and start with the sphere we've already talked about. I already understand what surrounds the object, and I will draw its reflections. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Looks pretty realistic. So it is all about learning and practice. I had to analyze and draw hundreds of metal objects before I began to understand the key concepts so easily. So I totally understand it can be a difficult material for you at first. But don't be afraid. Every time you draw it, it will become much easier. Try to draw spheres with different scenes surrounding it, different metal materials, etc. Then you can move on to the following primitives: cubes, planes, cylinders, maybe some amorphous elements too. Blender can be a good tool to better understand the material. And the final step: applying the key idea you've learned to more complex shapes. Accessories, armor, dishes, whatever. You can even try to draw metal creatures or animals, just like an exercise. Well, this is it. Metallic surfaces turned out to be not that scary and difficult, right? But surely it needs more than single YouTube video. This requires some practice, so this is why I have given you the idea of simple exercises. I hope these tips and concepts help you in the future. Enjoy this art lesson? Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future guides. If you have any questions, write about it down below in the comments. I will answer as many questions as I can, or even make another video to explain better. So grab your pen and have a good time practicing. See you in the next video.